So when's the next appointment? I'm ready for my next appointment. Next appointment, please. I went to the art museum Tuesday afternoon. 2 days had passed since the body's discovery, yet the autopsy results weren't in yet. And without a cause or time of death, we couldn't cuff any suspects no matter how many turned up. Hell, we even have a way to narrow our list of them to begin with. Therefore, I was instead investigating angles that had no direct relevance to the murder, as far as we could tell anyway.
Reiji!
Stella! It was then that Stella exited the art museum.
悪いな、ステラ。仕事中だろ。
お昼休み。
Stella flashed me a small lunchbox. It's already that late, huh?
食べる？
俺も食ったらすぐなくなるぞ。
I followed Stella into the museum.
こっち。
Two of us passed through one exhibit hall after the next. After sailing on by Girl and Shell, we took a few more turns before ending up in the corner of the showroom. Stella flipped up a thick curtain there, blocking our way forward, and we stepped through the new opening. On the other side was a small storeroom. Kept within were numerous paintings as well as desks and chairs, probably used for exhibits. Stella pushed out one of the chairs and sat on
あ
it.
の絵はここにあるのか。
待って。
Mate! Stella interrupted me and opened her lunchbox. It is lunch break. Not that I mind, but couldn't you have taken care of this beforehand? Scanned the storeroom as I waited for Stella to finish her lunch. There was one painting that was separated from the rest. It was covered in a cloth relatively cleaner than the others. I gingerly removed said cloth on a hunch. Knew it. And lo and behold, it indeed revealed none other than that angel painting we'd found in Shinzamamiya's studio. The more I studied it, the more it came to resemble the corpse from 2 days ago. While the length of the angel's hair wasn't the same, that was about the only difference. Even the length of the severed arms was practically identical. Therefore, our culprit had definitely seen the painting before, now that said fact hadn't already been abundantly clear.
お待たせ、レイジ。
Stella came over when she finished eating. Still got some rice on your face there.
ここで保管しているのか。
I wiped the rice off her face.
地下に収蔵庫がある。公開はしないけど、しばらくはここに置いておく予定。
Yeah, there's no way in hell they could exhibit it again after what had happened.
この絵について分かったことはあるか。
専門家が鑑定した結果、署名は間宮心臓本人の筆跡で間違いないそうです。
Stella shifted into her exposition mode as she regarded the painting.
いつ描かれたものかについては、絵の具の経年変化やキャンバスの木枠についた埃の量から考えて、およそ2年前だろうということです。
Oh, 2 years ago. Interesting. So, like, shortly before the events that would get him locked up, I assume.
2年前。
Yeah.
そうみたい。
Stella went back to her typically flighty self. That had probably been around the time Shinzo became aware of the serial killings happening around him. What feelings had that sparked which drove him to create this painting? Right. And then, like, during the transition periods, the 12 lines where it talks about, like, leaving behind the cursed sea and whatnot and, like, asking the muses to bless his work or something. Like, I could see it. When we peeled back the layers of the canvas, what did this armless angel represent?
レイジ？
It didn't represent me, Stella. That is the wrong answer. Stella stared at my face as I straight. Well, is it though? Actually, if we look deeper into it, Stella stared at my face as I stayed further and further into thought. Strayed further into further thought.
あ、悪い。出るんだよな。
I threw the cloth back over the painting. Stella and I returned to the bright showroom. I started making my way out, only to stop when I passed by Girl and Shell. Still don't know where she is. Oh, right, the kid. I was like, yes, you do. You found her. Well, also, you could be thinking of Misa as well. The actual Girl and Shell. We still don't know where she is either. But I assume he's talking about his daughter. Not only did I have to find the baby and out at Kuroya, but now there was a new case on my plate. One I couldn't claim was completely unrelated. Jeez, I'm just one man, There's only so much I can do. At least having an assistant, albeit one as reliable as a baseball bat in a soccer match, lightened my load a little. Hey, it's pretty reliable. The refs aren't going to be happy about it, but I'd say it's pretty reliable. You see someone going for the ball, you fuck, bah, nope. Still, it didn't change the fact that I had to do something. Before any more bodies turned up. Yeah, good luck with that, Reiji. Have you ever been able to solve your case after just one fucking corpse? No. Let's think realistically here. Now, hopefully we can get it done in 3. I think 3 is a solid number. If you can solve everything after 3, I mean, if you can do 2, that'd be amazing. But like, I think 3 is a good like low ball for you to shoot for. Anything other than that, and it's like, nah, it's just like before. But before any more bodies, nah, there's no way you're getting it only after the first body. No shot. Yeah, it sure is. Wait. Oh, yeah, that's Chie. Because she's the whisperer. She's the whisperer. See, they purposely had her whispering, right? So that when you hear this, you don't immediately recognize it. Because she's not like as whispery before, where she was really breathy before. She was like, but now she's still kind of whispery, but it's like a lot less breathy, so you can't immediately put a fucking face to it. But no, that's definitely Chie. This is a road. So is she kind of having like a Jekyll and Hyde type moment where she, or like almost similar to what like Yukiko went through, where she just kind of like blacked out and did shit and didn't realize until she came to? Or is this like Sai's last moments? Because if I remember correctly, Sai kind of spoke fairly quietly as well. So it could be Sai. Is this like what was going through Sai's head during her final moments? Well, no, she said well, yeah, if she had been drugged, right? She said she was on a road and it was cold. Going home after playing at the park. No, so that's gotta be someone younger. It's definitely not Sai then. Okay, it's Chie. It's gotta be Chie. Right, because we had the celebration with Yukari Masuki. And this would have been shortly thereafter? Was that on the same day? Not entirely sure. I think so, actually. Wait, is this Michiru? This isn't Michiru's voice, is it? I don't think it's Michiru's voice, no.
怖い、怖い。誰か助けて。
He fell into despair and lamented when the star forever lost its light. But another star told him to hold out hope and march forward, for there was love to be found on the road ahead. And so that love will move the sun and the other stars. Bird soars through the sky. Okay. What else? What I wouldn't give for those wings. Okay. How I long to take flight myself. Would these fake wings of mine take me to the skies where they real? I want to see what lies at the edge of the sky. Heaven. However, its gates will never open to me. For my birth itself was a sin. Oh, interesting, interesting. Yet I long to go there all the same. Surely I won't be punished for merely wishing as much. But I wouldn't give for those wings. And that's another thing, like, when we saw that one scene where, like, whoever I suppose the killer was, even if the price was my own life. Now, hold up. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. I'll finish my thought in a bit. I'll just let the movie play out. Oh, it's done? Okay. But yeah, we know from like that first point from who I think is the murderer, more than likely. Never mind. Oh hey, it's not showing you the game. Here we go. Yeah! I got the display capture set up and ready this time. No weird cropping of the movie this time. Yeah! Yeah! I anticipated you this time, fucker. Immutably degenerate. Okay, Chie and Yukari. Noose, okay. That looks like Sei. Whoa, woe's me. Paranoia which doesn't disappear. Rage's got a gun. Hot therapist. Oh shit, woe's me coming back? They're showing me woe's me in the title. Title in the opening movie. So that clip leading up to the opening movie there, where we saw like someone who was like drawing a rough sketch of what would clearly become, Exile of Paradise. Commissioner's desk sat in a corner of the room that served as the office space for Criminal Investigation ID Section 1. He, Police Superintendent Rochi Agami, and I, Tokisaka, were giving our full attention to Coroner Natsume.
ほな、始めます。
Okay. Natsume's speech garbled as ever by a peculiar accent began reading through the documents as I ran over a summary of the case in my head.
仏派のお名前は前園聖。歯科医の診療記録から歯型が一致しました。
Sai Maizono was an art restorer who worked at a local gallery. Yes? Her body had been discovered in her apartment on February 16th. What's more, had been quite the grotesque spectacle, not one where arms amputated but wings covered in feathers had been affixed to the clay bases attached to her back. Barely got that one out in time. Say the corpse greatly resembled Exile of Paradise, previously unreleased painting of Shinzo Mami was discovered just a few days prior. The painting in question had been shown to the public for one day only, February 13th, in acquiescence to the demands of the press. At this point, we didn't know whether the culprit had been there in person or seen its photo in the following day's paper. Definitely saw it in person. Definitely connected to the person who ran away.
死因は判明しましたか?
Okay. But anyway, as I was saying, from what it was sounding like, right, it sounded almost like whoever this person was wanted this to happen in a weird way, right? We saw the one version where it's like, I felt betrayed, but I didn't want to betray, right? And so maybe by doing this, he was actually giving her what she wanted. Because when we saw that clip prior to the opening movie, where it's like someone doing the rough draft of what would become Exile of Paradise, it really sounded like they wanted to actually achieve that state, right? And the fact that it's called Exile of Paradise, it evokes the sense of like a fallen angel. And they talk about how they were like born unable to see heaven, that their birth was a sin, right? So they were born without the chance of being able to see heaven, something like that. It's like, it almost feels like the way she died, if that was Sei speaking, it almost seems like that's what she wanted to happen. But then there was the whole thing about like waking up in the road and feeling cold and like curling up in a ball on the road or something. I'm not sure. But just that little bit, that little scene before the opening movie definitely left some fucking questions in my brain, that's for sure. Yaginuma was the first of us to chime in.
まあ分かったことは分かったんですけどな。
Oh? You sound a bit disappointed, Natsume. Natsume was uncharacteristically vague.
何か異常な点でもあったんですか？
死因としてはおかしなとこはありまへんのや。シンナー吸引による呼吸不全。おそらくお部屋にあった溶剤を飲んだんでしょうな。
But she did it on purpose.
シンナー中毒ですか？
ありていに言えば。
Natsume frowned. No kidding. That is weird. The stench of paint thinner, that was to say organic solvents, was ungodly pungent.
他殺には向かない毒物ですね。
Because it was intentional. She did it on purpose. Yaginuma cocked his head and voiced the same conclusion I'd reached.
吸わせるだけならともかく、お口の中に溶剤が入った形跡がありましたからな。吐くどころか飲まされる前に気づきます。
何かに混ぜたということは？
何に混ぜたかって気づきますわ。
それでは自殺の可能性もあるということですか？
仏藩の状態を見たら考えにくいことですけどな。
That's the thing, though. She made like a pact, some kind of Oh, Chie. All right. I think Sei was the person who was like, you know, we heard talking in those cutscenes, right? But Chie, she said she had a mentor, right? She said she had a mentor. Specifically, she said she had a female mentor. We know that Chie has a female mentor. And then she won the grand prize, right? At her little fucking exhibit. She won the grand prize at the student exhibit and said something like she's ready to move on. Right? She was vague about that. She didn't say what moving on really meant. She said she was ready to move on. So, oh, and Sei even said that she taught art on the side. That she was teaching art on the side. She even said so. When she was talking with Masaki, she said that. So we know Sei was we know Sei was teaching art on the side. We know Chie was being mentored by someone. Clearly, we know Chie felt like she had reached a great achievement and she was ready to move forward in her next big step in her career, right? I'm thinking that's it. I'm thinking that's it. That's gotta be it. She won the grand prize and she essentially like shows that to her mentor, right? Being able like saying, I can create an amazing work of art now, right? I can create this big, amazing piece of art. So like now she can prove to her mentor that she can go through this final act, right? That she has the skills to do it. Okay. I think that's gotta be it. And that Sei had some connection to Exile of Paradise. Now what exactly her connection is to that painting, how it all came about, I don't know. But we know there's got to be some connection to her in that. So if nothing else, I think it might have been Sei who saw the painting during the exhibit because we know that Chie then went back to the exhibit for like the student award things, which was after the painting was taken off display. We do know that. It was only on display for one single day. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't, well, maybe, it probably was, but I was thinking maybe it wasn't necessarily Exile of Paradise that made the person run out of the museum, right? What if she actually saw her student's art piece, right? Maybe. But I think that's the big connection here. Sai did kill herself, but the person who decorated her body in the way they did, I fully believe was Chie. That, or unless there's a second art student we don't know about, right? Maybe Chie is the obvious answer, right? Maybe it's too obvious of an answer. But then again, like when I played through 2, right, Karen seemed like the too obvious answer to be the culprit, but then, oh, what's that? I was right. So there sometimes the obvious answer is potentially the correct answer. Even though I was kind of hard on Nanako for a while too. Even though Nanako was up to some shady shit, let's not forget that. But yeah, I think I'm onto something. I clearly don't have all the details right now, and maybe there's gonna be something we learn that completely throws me for a loop there. But I feel like that's it. I feel like her like star student, right, is the one who successfully transformed her into the genuine article.
自殺と死体損壊ですか。そうなると。Right, and like I could definitely see the setup to try to pin it on the owner of the gallery, right? Because they say like, oh, he's an artist he's someone who loves art, even if he's not that great at it himself. He's someone who truly loves art, so maybe he'd be so inclined to do something like this and whatnot. I don't think it's the gallery owner. I don't think so.
そう短絡的に考えない方がいいんじゃないのか。
もう一度話を聞く必要がありますね。
可能性としては溶剤を飲むことを強要された。
そういった手がかりは？
Yeah, there wasn't any sign of like struggle, was there? Natsume shook her head.
可能性だけですわ。証拠は何も。
自殺という証拠も何もありません。もちろんその可能性も考慮に入れておかなければなりませんが。
死んだ経緯はともかく、遺体を加工した人間がいることは確かだ。
そうなりますね。そうだ。死亡時刻は判明していますか？
エロ分かりにくかったんですけど、なんとかな。死亡推定時刻は14日深夜から15日未明にかけてです。遺体発見が16日ですから。
Because, yeah, when we saw it from the killer's perspective, they said that she had been dead for several hours. That's right, she had been dead for several hours. That's why there wasn't much blood when they actually cut into the flesh.
1日かけて遺体を加工していたということですか。
I mean, yeah, did you see all the work they put into it? Clearly it took some time. Natsume nodded.
生活反応はありまへんし、死後硬直を見ながらやった方が形も作りやすいでしょうからな。
ありがとうございます。
Aginuma took the documents from Natsume and stacked them together.
さて、それでは第一発見者の笹倉に話を聞いてきますか。
ああ、俺はまだ会っていないからな。
Keita Sasakura was the victim's employer. Not only that, but he was apparently the proprietor of the art gallery that Tameki Masaki, my freeloading assistant, had worked at prior to our first encounter. I guess I'll have to ask him some questions too.
ほな、いってらっしゃいませ。
Natsume saw me and Yaginuma off as we departed to pay Sasakura's art gallery a visit. Oh, this is our transition street. Oh no. Capital 2, Mercurio. Mercurio. Okay. I parked Yaginuma's squad car at a police box near Kichijoji Station.
ここでいいのか？
I asked Yaginuma after getting out of the car.
店の前に止めると面倒なんですよ。付近の住人が文句を言ってくるので。
True. Well, never thought he, of all people, would give a shit about that.
僕は警察の代表としてここにいるのですから。
よく言うぜ。こっちでいいのか?
Pointed toward the shopping district.
ええ、その先です。
Yaginuma and I traveled west for a while. Eventually, we came across the art gallery, bordering the railroad crossing where the Chuo line met Inokashira Street. The exterior offered no hints as to whether the place got good business or not. There was an apartment on the second floor, from what I could tell, so Sasakura probably lived here too, if I had to guess. Giant show window exhibiting works of art on easels adorned the side facing the street.
前もってアポイントメントは取ってありますから。
被疑者扱いしているやつに来訪を知らせておいてもいいのか?
After all, I could have skipped town the time it took us to get here for all we knew.
逃げたら捕まえればいいだけの話です。むしろその方が分かりやすいじゃないですか。
Yaginuma shot a glance at the building diagonally across the street from the gallery. So already has a surveillance team on the guy, huh? Sneaky little bastard.
失礼。
Yaginuma entered the gallery. Huh. Still expecting the place to reek of paint. Guess that's not what happens when you only put finished works out for display.
いらっしゃい。
A man emerged from the other end of the gallery.
笹倉啓太さんですね。
ええ。ああ、警察の方ですか。
Sasakura nodded after Yaginuma showed him his badge.
どうぞ。大したおもてなしもできませんが。
Yaginuma and I took seats at his urging.
前園聖さんの遺体を発見された時の状況をもう一度詳しくお聞きしたいのですが。
もう何度もお話はしているのですが。
Sasakura scratched his thick stubble as he began his story.
彼女が出勤してこないことに気づいたのは16日の9時過ぎです。彼女の部屋には電話もありませんし、様子を見に行ったわけです。
Sasakura's voice trailed off, perhaps wearied from reliving the trauma.
なるほど。
Yaginuma scribbled in his notebook.
前日、前園さんに不審な点などはありませんでしたか?
Tried my hand at asking a leading question.
土曜日、僕は横浜の画商へ出かけていたので、店も休みにしていたので、彼女がどうしていたかは分かりません。
14日、金曜日の帰宅時はどうですか?
特におかしなところはなかったと思います。
Sasakura shook his head. If he really had been away on Saturday, then it would have been difficult for him to have remodeled the body. Still, neither tampering with the body nor his trip to Yokohama had likely taken a full day. While Sei Maizono could have committed suicide, homicide wasn't out of the question either.
犯人について心当たりはありませんか?
Seemed Yaginuma had his sights set on the murder angle, however.
さあ、彼女の個人的なことに関してはよく知りませんから。でも恨まれるようなことはないと思います。
So it probably hadn't been the result of a deep-seated grudge then. Sprucing up her body like that certainly wasn't the sort of thing a resentful soul would do to their victim, after all. True. For all we knew, she could have just fallen victim to some random slasher. Not true. I don't believe that. Then again, that was even less likely when considering all the time and effort that would have required to remodel her corpse. Plus, if her body really was based off Exile of Paradise, then...
前園さんはいつからこちらで働かれていたんですか?
Yaginuma continued his interrogation as I sat around musing.
彼女が大学にいた頃からです。もともとうちは調布で店を開いていましてね。通学途中にあったんで便利だと思ったそうですよ。
随分と長いようですね。
一時期海外修復の勉強がしたいということで、1年くらい海外へ行っていたこともあります。
Must have been Muskie. Not that mentioning him would be relevant to this in any way, of course.
ありがとうございました。またお伺いすることもあるかと思います。
ええ。次はお茶くらい用意しておきますよ。
Yaginuma and I left the gallery together.
まずは横浜の画商に確認を取ります。
Yaginuma said that as soon as we were outside.
時間も詳しく聞いておいてくれ。まだ遺体の加工ができる時間は余っていそうだからな。
分かっています。今のところ彼が殺害した可能性もありますからね。
Sei Maizono had died from solvent poisoning. Bringing Sasakura's build to hers, it was entirely possible that he could have made her swallow the paint thinner by force. Since her arms were missing, we couldn't check her hands to see if she'd scratched her assailant and gotten some of their skin under her nails, as many typically did. Maybe we should have checked Sasakura's arms for any scratches. Why is that your line, bud?
どうかしましたか？
I'll have to respectfully decline. Yaginuma turned around when he heard me curse.
肝心なことを聞き忘れているじゃねえか。間宮心臓の絵だよ。
That was just as bad as Yaginuma for not remembering it until we were at the station.
天罰を見たかどうかですね。それは僕があえて尋ねなかったことですよ。
Yaginuma smirked.
どういうことだ？
あの絵が事件と関係があると言っているようなものじゃないですから。新聞発表もしていませんし、あの遺体はこちらの切り札ですよ。
なるほど。
His logic added up, which meant there was no reason to go along with his not to go along with that strategy.
事件が続いたとき、模倣かそうでないかが分かりやすくなりますからね。
続くと思うか？
You don't think this was the end of it? Reiji. Come on. Let's be smarter than that. Whenever there's these people who make these big showy murders, alright? Does it ever stop at one? Does it ever stop at one? Come on.
ええ。これは今までの事件と似ていますから。警察官としての考え。
Whether it was Yaginuma's time dealing with the Senri murders or any of the 2 cases here in the Shell series, you know, there's never just one. There's never just one. Yaginuma pompously so declared while pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. It's never just one. Oh shit, we got new F12. New chapter. New chapter. So that means there's a new. All right. Hold up. We got save. We got save. All right. We got save. And then also I have to back out to window mode so that I can go here and I can open up Steam so I can look at my screenshots. We got another one. Show on disk. Open it up. Zoom in. We have another one. Okay, so from what I can see here, pulled up, this is from Canto 5 of Purgatorio. And from the translation I have here, it is, I had already left those shades behind and followed in the footsteps of my guide, when there beneath me, pointing at me, one shade shouted, "See the second climber climb. The sun seems not to shine on his left side, and when he walks like one alive." When I had heard these words, I turned my eyes and saw the shades astonished as they stared at me, and at the broken light. "Why have you let your mind get so entwined," my master said, "that you have slowed your walk? Why should you care about what's whispered here?" So essentially, the context of these lines are he's being guided through purgatory, but he's hearing the shouts of the others around him, and he gets distracted by it, and his guide chastises him for slowing down. Essentially saying, you are on your current path, pay no mind to what's around you, that's not important. You need to stay focused on the path that you are on. Okay. Interesting. I'm very interested to see how that can apply to whatever goes on. Because I do see how like those 12 lines from Canto 1 kind of apply to what we saw out of Chapter 1 there. I am very interested to see how these lines potentially come back here in Chapter 2. See what they have in store for us. But for now, Tomoyuki Masuki visited Kichiki Hospital. He'd been undergoing therapy at the psych ward since the start of the month, yes? That said, he'd only done so on Meiji surging. Masuki had lost many friends and family in incidents that had taken place over the last couple of months. However, he hadn't been fazed by any of it, almost as if all those tragedies had happened to someone else in a foreign country. Therefore, he'd resumed the therapy sessions he put on hold since last November, albeit with great reluctance. Shut up, hot therapist.
正木さん、こちらへどうぞ。
Masuki was summoned and guided by a nurse to an examination room for outpatients.
失礼します。
Yeah.
2日ぶりだね。
Inside, he's greeted by Kaede Watanuki, his psychiatrist. Strictly speaking, she didn't actually work at or for the hospital. But after their main psychiatrist had been carted off to jail, she'd been all they had left.
まあかけたまえ。
Muskie sat on the sofa, as prompted.
さてと、前回からあまり時間が空いていないのだが、理由はわかるかな？
Because you want my meat, and I want to give it to you?
先生がお忙しいのですか？
Muskie gave whatever answer first came to mind. Going along with this woman's bizarre games never ended well for him, thus he saw no reason to play them.
当たらずとも遠からずだね。忙しいからこそ早めに君に会いたかったんだよ。もちろん。
Oh man, my ideas had been funny from the moment I saw you.
は
さて、早速だが、私が言ったことはしてくれている。
How's the diary? Last time she asked him to start keeping a diary. She claimed that looking back on his day would improve his stunted emotional state.
その様子ではまだのようだね。
Kaede snorted when Muskie didn't speak up.
あ。すみません。手帳は用意したんですが。
気構える必要はないと言ったろ。今日は何もなかったと書いてもいいのさ。読み返した時に恥ずかしくなるだろうがね。
Kaede chortled.
ともかく書いてみることだ。そうしなければ治療は始まらないからね。
わかりました。
Muskie meekly nodded. Muskie sighed after leaving the examination room. He knew Kaede was right. Still, he had no idea what to write. What do you mean you have no idea what to write? Just write, went to hospital today, saw hot psychiatrist, got hard in the office, hope she didn't notice. Oh shit, she definitely noticed. Hope she doesn't talk about it. She kind of alluded to it. God damn. Simple. That's what you write in your diary. Or like you said, you don't have to go into details. You could just say, went to the doctor's, got bricked. That was my day, all right? Regardless, he took a seat on a bench in the hallway and opened his journal. He said, I'm going to do it right here, right now. Then he wrote the date, February 19th, and stopped there. Thinking it over, he simply wrote, went to hospital. There you go. Certainly is embarrassing to look back and see that's literally all I wrote. She hit the nail on the head. Fortunately, he couldn't come up with anything else to write about. See? You're thinking too small. As someone who's gone through the diary keeping process, literally just any minute details, like woke up at this time, had this for breakfast, did this, like simple shit, like took a shower around this time, played some games, watched a video. It may seem like mundane shit, but just whatever minute thing, like it doesn't have to be down to the nitty gritty details. Yeah, like at 11:43 a.m. I took 23 steps down the stairs into the kitchen, where I then walked to the refrigerator and pulled out my lunch meat and cheeses. I then turned towards the bread box and retrieved 2 slices of bread from the bread loaf. Like, no, you don't need to go into details. Just be like, had a sandwich for lunch. He was hesitant to include any of the things Kaede had told him during their session. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to go into details. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to be like, hey, I went to my doctor. We talked about this. You can just say, I went to the doctor. Can't be that simple. Or you can keep it short. Went to the doctor. Yeah, we talked about this. Next line. It's simple. Keep it simple. Besides, it's not like anyone else is ever going to read this. True. Oh, except her, but she gets a pass. Girl's face suddenly popped up right into Muskie's line of sight. Her left eye was covered in a bandage.
Michiru?
Hell yeah. She was Michiru Shirasaki, a girl who was staying at this hospital. Michiru had been deeply intertwined with last month's cases, though. Muskie wasn't sure exactly to what extent. Oh, they never did tell him, did they? Did they never? They didn't tell Muskie, did they? Did they? I know in like some of the endings they did, but I can't remember if in the true ending they did. Or if they said it was better if they didn't.
日記を書こうとしているんだよ。
Like, obviously, Fuyumi knows as she's trying to adopt her. And, like, the way she snapped at Reiji is just like, that's my daughter, you fuck. I think Masaki knows. Does Masaki know? Masaki decided to be upfront with her.
宿題？
いや、まあ似たようなものかな。
Both involve someone getting mad if he didn't do it, so it seemed like an apt comparison.
そう。
Ishida plopped down next to Masaki. Once seated, she stared at Masaki's open
書
journal.
きづらいんだけど。
気にしたら負け。
Yeah, let him know, Michiru.
気になるよ。
Fair play, you know, if that's a fair comeback. Only losers care about that. Cool, guess I'm a loser. Alright, next. Like, alright, bud. Way to own it. Reluctantly, he had to talk to Michiru underwent to hospital. Hell yeah. Goddamn right you did.